Welcome to a new episode of the Cigar Snob Podcast. And now here are your hosts, Erik Calvino, Ivan Ocampo, and Jim Rodriguez.
And the good times continue with another fantastic smoky treat edition of the Cigar Snob Magazine podcast. What's up, boys, with my guys, Erik Calvino and Ivan Ocampo, better known as IOC in the streets.
What's up? Don't compare me to that. But
I'm
anyways,
just saying
all
IOC.
right. I'll take it.
What's happening,
up,
Jimmy?
What's up, Jim?
I'm good, boys. What's going on?
It's a good start, man. It's an energetic start.
Right,
I like it.
right.
I like it.
We're starting off good in this year of the rabbit, and that's a little, what we call in the business a tease of what's going on this amazing edition of the Cigar Snob Magazine podcast.
Amazing.
We're going to talk to our buddy Eddie Guerra. He's going to stop by. We're going to do a little share a smoke with him. Plus, we're going to get our drink on today. A little interesting take on it.
Yeah.
And of course, we are going to have feedback from you on a question that I've always had about cigars. So we're going to get that answered. And of course, once again, the Year of the Rabbit will be a emphasis of this smoky treat edition. So we're got lots to get to. Heck, happy you're along, and let's get after it.
If you're like me and look forward to cozying up to a warm fireplace after a long day on the range, kicking off your boots and settling into a nice big bowl of chili con queso, then you love the La Aurora 107 Nicaragua. This Dominican-made Nicaraguan puro is a bold new blend with tons of flavor made with the same craftsmanship that has made La Aurora cigars one of the oldest and premium cigar makers in all the world. Started in the Dominican Republic in 1903, La Aurora Cigars was founded by the young Eduardo Leon Jimenez, who set out to fulfill his dream of making great cigars. Today, over a century later, La Aurora has a presence in 5 continents and more than 1,000 employees. The original La Aurora 107 was released in 2010, commemorating the company's 107 years in business. Now the La Aurora 107 Nicaragua brings a bolder new profile to smokers who have become accustomed to smoking the consistent quality and excellence of La Aurora cigars. The 107 Nicaragua comes to life with a diverse array of spicy notes accompanied by a subtle touch of leather. A rich balance of earth, wood, and floral notes flourishes deeper into the smoke with a characteristic pinch of licorice and walnut on the finish. Made in 4 sizes, a 7x47 Churchill, 6x58 Grand Toro, 5.5x54 Toro, and a 5x50 Robusto. The La Aurora 107 Nicaragua is a perfect complement to any rum cocktail, steak dinner, or even my famous chili con queso. Go on out and get yourself one and tell them Jasper sent you.
Yes, sir. All right. Jasper's looking mighty spry back there. I saw him. He's in a good mood.
He is. He's. I don't know. I think it's. He's feeling good. It's the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
He's got Chente with him. I think he's in a good mood.
Chente, speaking of spry, Chente looked good. I saw him galloping around over there.
They're all like on some health kick ever since we started the new year, you know.
Keto?
He's doing Peloton.
Oh, nice. Chente is a Peloton at this point. Well, listen. We've had some great from Playboy, from Hugh Hefner to Bugs Bunny to all sorts of great bunnies and rabbits in the world. And Jasper's nodding his head at me. Yes, sir, Jasper. What do you have?
Caballeros que fuman.
Take it away, my friend.
So we are smoking the Davidoff Year of the Rabbit. This is a what's that? That's your
the rabbit. Is that what a rabbit
goes? Nice. Okay. I don't know, guys. I don't know about him.
Great rabbit.
We're still not sure about Jim. The jury's still out. But yeah, that's what we're smoking. The Year of the Rabbit from Davidoff. It's a limited edition. It's a beautiful, beautiful smoke, right? I mean, so
classic
let me give you some.
always
Yeah.
elegant.
So one quick thing is the Year of the Rabbit comes in 2 versions. Unlike all the other Zodiac Davidoff editions, this one has a like double Toro version. It's called the flagship edition. That's not what we're smoking. We're smoking the Perfecto one, which is a 6 and get this size, 6 and 15/16.
It's very exact.
That is precise.
Very precise.
Right. By 54, it is a double Perfecto. Interestingly, it's it's not common to see a perfecto with a pigtail. It's a tiny pigtail, but it's there. It's kind of neat. And so the wrapper is Ecuador, Mexico binder, and Dominican Republic and Nicaraguan filler with an MSRP of $50. So it's
This is a special treat.
this is not
I
your
mean, you got all of
everyday
Latin
smoke.
America pretty much represented with this cigar. It's wild.
Yeah, Ecuador, Mexico, DR, and Nica. Yeah, America Fatal, Honduras.
And that's it.
But it's all the best tobaccos from all of those places. Because
Yeah, these
this
guys.
is-
They're not playing around with this one.
they're not playing around. Exactly.
Yeah, now I think we were getting to that point. It is the price point is a little high, but this is one of those. It's a limited edition smoky treat, and it's at the same time it's special occasion kind of stuff. And
It definitely is a special occasion, no question about that, right?
and it's Davidoff. It's Davidoff, however you like to pronounce it.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard it pronounced both ways. When you're with Brits, they always call it Davidoff. Here in South Florida, call it Davidoff all the time.
Yeah.
But I think no one. Listen, if you bought the cigar, you can call it whatever the hell you want.
That's right. You can
Right.
call it Sally if you want at this point.
Yeah.
Now, as usual, it's got the classic Davidoff white label with the gold trim, but it's you're smoking what you got because you got the little red label underneath it with the little bunny, and it says Year of the Rabbit.
So they started the year of, right, the Zodiac editions. They started them back in like 2012. And so we've been fortunate. We have a great relationship with the guys at Davidoff and the ladies at Davidoff to that we've received every one of those. They've always sent us samples, and so we've tasted all of them. Honestly, I've enjoyed every single one of them, but I think I enjoy this one the most. We just got started with it, but it's got a little bit of extra kick that I'm really digging. Like I'm not used to this from Davidoff as often, right? We smoke Davidoff often here, but we get the milder ones, right? And this has got a little
heat.
muscle to it.
It has a little heat to it, but yet smooth. It's smooth.
Well, because it's
heat.
like a sweet heat to me.
Yeah.
The pepper comes in sweet.
It's like a chili pepper almost. It's a sweet little chili. There is definitely some spice in there, and right from the jump, you get it right from the start.
I know, but it's coated with like a cream.
Yeah.
I love that. I really am enjoying it.
It tastes expensive.
Yeah, you can
Otherwise,
tell,
a cheap
yeah,
one. I
you
mean,
can-
that heat is on the harsh
unbearable.
side.
Correct.
Unbearable.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and here
And
it's a beautiful little
right.
like it's like a cymbal. In a drum solo, it's like ting, like that little zing there. It's kind of how that's like my metaphor for it.
Yeah.
I know that Jim is the master of the metaphor for smoking experience, but that's what I think the heat does in this cigar. It's like this beautiful, creamy, full flavored thing, and then you get in the back, bing, you get a little bit of this here,
In this corner,
right there. Yeah, exactly.
Well, to me, I always. To me, this is a long, leggy woman coming down a long flight of stairs.
I like his analogy.
You know what I mean?
I like that one better. I like it better than mine.
You're in the lobby of a hotel.
See, I told you he was the master of it.
You're in the lobby of a hotel. Maybe
Say it slower. Say it slower.
You're sitting there.
Yeah, what kind of music is playing?
Oh, you got to have a little bossa nova.
Oh, I like that.
A little.
So
Blame
you're
it
like
on-
you're
blame it
in
on the
Brazil
bossa
now?
nova.
Are we-
A little, maybe
or
a
a
little
little-
girl from Ipanema.
Yeah.
And then there's the staircase,
Okay.
and here comes Legs McGee coming down and the
She's Irish?
Well, her dad was a sailor. What can I tell you? But that's what it looks like to me. And she's Puerto Rican,
Okay.
Puerto Rican Irish in Brazil.
Wow.
What a
But then
combo.
where does the zing come in? So when she comes down, she just slaps you right when she walks up, but
No.
then kisses you. Like, how does that work?
She comes down. And she's wearing like one of these like mink shoulder coats, fake fur.
Oh,
of
I was
course.
gonna say, is
Fake
it real
fur, of
mink? Because
course.
now you're about to be
Fake
canceled.
fur. And then as she gets to your table, it comes off. The mink comes off, and then ding, and then the moon is full, and so am I. But then and then the cocktails come, and then you start putting on White Lotus on Netflix. And then
Oh boy!
You
All
okay?
right, I'm gonna cut my hand here on Nat's table.
Foul.
Yeah.
That's a shooting foul.
So
So this is all from this cigar. This is
Wow.
what this cigar has done to us.
Wow.
nah,
Tremendous.
it's lovely. It really is. So then, so take us to the old X's and O's. because I think that they're all kind of related, right? This is a celebration worthy cigar, right? We've talked many times.
This is not a pull this out at the golf course and throw it on the ground.
Not
thing.
one bit. Not one bit. This is in Jim's previous analogies.
Raccoon comes and takes your cigar from the golf cart.
Yeah.
Cigar. I'll chase that raccoon halfway.
No, the raccoon grabs this, is about to run away, stops, looks at you, and gives you like a thumbs up. I'm like, wait, good job, pal.
Whatever you're doing, it's working.
I salute you. All right, so listen, let's break it down. This is what I would call a championship cigar. So let's get into these X's and O's of it. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check in, and we want to remind people, you can always hit us up. It's questions@cigarsnobmag.com. Questions@cigarsnobmag.com. You can also hit us up on our Twitter and Instagram at Cigar Snob Mag and hook us up with questions. And this is a great question that I've always thought of, and because everything has an origin, right? Everything has an origin story. Just look at all these superhero movies. And our buddy Fulton from Baton Rouge, from the Red Stick. You can't say it any other way other than Baton Rouge. Right?
Yeah, I think that's the only way to say it.
The Red Stick. He says, "What's up, gents? I love the show." A man with good taste, too. "I know you guys dabble in sports talk every now and then, and I was wondering if you have any information on the origin of the Victory cigar." Because, you never hear about a Victory cigarette. Right, it's always the
Correct,
Victory
yeah.
cigar. I've been a longtime sports fan, and I feel it more prevalent now than ever, especially seeing guys like Joe Burrow from Baton Rouge with the LSU prominently smoking away after each one of his big wins. And as a follow-up question, do you know how the cigars get selected for each of the team's championship celebrations? Thanks again, and keep up the good work. All right, Fulton, I turn it over to the master here.
Well, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to refer to a story that was written by our friend, the Big O, Orlando Alzagari, back in 2009. He wrote a story called Victory Cigar for us.
Mm-hmm.
And in that story, he quoted Red Auerbach, right, from the Let Me Tell You a Story, A Lifetime in the Game book that Red Auerbach wrote with John Feinstein. And so I'm gonna give you this little quote here, which kind of explains what we think is the origin of the Victory cigar. So it has always bothered, this is a quote from Red Auerbach, "It has always bothered me to see coaches who are up 20 or 30 points jumping up and down, screaming with 2 minutes or 1 minute to go." He said, it's such a look at me thing. My attitude was when we had the game in hand, I'd get the subs in, sit down on the bench and relax. Let people know I wasn't trying to embarrass the other team. Just get the game over and done with. But I'd kind of sit there and not know exactly what to do. Cross my legs. Maybe that's too casual. Sit back. I don't know. Then I noticed that Joe Lapchick, then the coach of the Knicks, always smoked cigarettes on the bench. Back in those days, you could do that. So I decided if we had the game comfortably in hand, I'd smoke too. I'd light a cigar and just sit back. That ended up becoming the signal to people that we'd won the game. So guys started calling it my Victory cigar. Then it became a big thing. People waiting for me to light the cigar. I never did it on the road. Never. That would have been rubbing it in. Of course, one night we went into Cincinnati and I found out they'd given out 5,000 cigars and told the fans when the Royals won the game, they'd all light up. I said to the guys in the locker room before the game, if you don't win this one, I'll kill you. The Celtics, of course, won that game. And the Cincinnati fans were not able to light their cigars. But that's what we feel is kind of like the origin of the Victory cigar.
The first time I ever really saw as a kid or anything like that, I was too young to see Red Auerbach as a coach. Of course, he was the coach of those great Celtic teams of the 60s. And then he later became the general manager when Larry Bird and those guys played. He would always light up a cigar. And that's the first time that I started associating winning with cigars. And we're seeing it more and more. And I guess, Ivan, I always wondered as well, just like Fulton does, like, how do they do that? Like I was talking to you guys, Oscar Valladares, who does some great stuff, has Houston roots. When the Astros won the World Series, it seemed like a lot of guys were smoking those Oscar Valladares sticks. Is it something, do you think they reach out to the teams, or is it just pure luck? Because that's what everything checks. It always is like, what shoes are they wearing? What designer stuff? But now it's what cigars are they smoking during the championship?
Yeah, I think it goes on a team by team basis. Like I think maybe like the equipment manager,
the locker room guy
might handle some.
Or in baseball, the clubhouse guy.
Or the clubhouse guy, whatever. Or if somebody, let's say one of the players happens to be the cigar aficionado on the
Mhm.
team, he would be the one that would dictate, okay, this is the brand or the cigar that gets smoked. For example, I'm a golf fan, and nowadays, like the cigar guy who's still playing on tour is Xander Schauffele.
Mhm.
He's been like the cigar guy. So after
when they're on the Ryder Cup, right?
or no, I think President's Cup. So the recent President's Cup win, I think they pulled out like Padrones. You know, so I guess that's his favorite cigar. So he's like, that's what we're doing for this.
Yep. There's always a cigar guy, is what you're trying to say.
It's always a cigar guy, or I mean, again, maybe there's some like in with the team.
Yeah.
For example, I think God, I forget the gentleman from Camus,
Wagner.
Joey Wagner. I remember him telling us that there was like some connection between one of the teams, and they used to like drinking Camus, and like there was some exchange with cigars. So it really depends on the situation.
So I do have some insight on the Oscar Valladares bit.
Mhm.
So Oscar's got a gentleman on staff in Orlando, a friend of ours, and he's always been like an agent for ball players. He's worked, like, helped them with their finances and things like that. But he's obviously very well connected in the cigar business,
Right.
working for Oscar. And so Oscar being based, as you said earlier, in Houston, Orlando was able to get Oscar cigars when Houston won that first World Series. What year was it? I don't remember.
Well,
they won that.
Well, they won it in 2017 against the Dodgers, but even this
Correct.
Most,
So
this
he
most
got it.
recent one,
He
yeah.
got it in that one, and then every year after that, he's been able to get Oscar Valladares in a World Series, regardless of whether Houston is in it or not, because he has contacts in every team, and so it's usually a guy like that, like Orlando will get them in. And so he told me, he shared a story with me. I was with him in Honduras, and he said that in this last World Series, it was Phillies Astros, and he had both teams. He had a guy on each team lined up, ready to go.
It's like the T-shirts that are ready to go.
Yeah, and so, but he said that getting it through security and all that stuff was a little bit of a challenge. So he was able to get it regardless of which team won. Now that particular Houston won it, and Houston has a Honduran player on the team,
right?
Duong, and so that was extra special to have Oscar Valladares, which is a Honduran-made cigar. Oscar himself being Honduran, and then the first major league Honduran to win a World Series,
right,
was on the team. So that was all kind of a pretty neat combination.
You know what's cool is that it's not always Cuban cigars. Because you figure, they would do these, it's a championship, great thing.
Man,
Let's
you're
get
right.
some Cubans. And I've seen them a couple of times. And my fantasy is, somebody got them fake Cubans. And they don't know what they're smoking. They got some fake ones there.
Shaquille O'Neal there smoking fake Cubans.
And what I always love is you can tell who are the cigar smokers.
Yeah.
And who isn't. Like I saw recently Eli Apple of the Bengals when they won to advance to the AFC Championship game. He was smoking it not exactly how you smoke a cigar. He was kind of like taking a drag from a cigarette. You know what I mean?
Give me a toke.
And it's not just for the fellas, even the ladies. I remember when the Las Vegas Aces won the WNBA championship, there was one of their players had a nice cigar in her hands. And I was like, yes, of course, because ladies is pimps too, right?
Also
that's what they do.
Yeah. There's also the Alabama-Tennessee college football game where like they smoke on the field. Like and these are college players. So that's another little interesting victory cigar moment. But
so my question would be to you guys, and we want to encourage people to hit us up. Like, what would be for you guys and ladies listening at home? What would be your victory cigar? Hit us up. Questions at cigarsnobmag.com or send us a note on Twitter. Or Instagram. They're both Cigar Snob Mag.
Yep.
Even on Facebook as well. I'd love to see photos and what you would consider your victory cigar. Ivan, what would be like? You're on the golf course. You've won. Maybe you won your club championship. For the 27th year in a row, like some people we know around here. What would be your victory cigar?
So I do have a few victory cigars and victory wines. To open those occasions. I've never been able to open or smoke any of them. I might be collecting for a long, long time because I'm not going to be victorious. However, the cigar that I would smoke was given to me by this gentleman right here sitting across from me when my daughter was born. So I have these Padron Aniversarios 1964s, which I still have maybe 5 or 6 left, and that would be my celebratory cigar.
Ah, very good. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm kind of torn by what cigar I would use. Right? You would say, do you want a cigar that you know is going to be perfect, right? Like a consistently good cigar, or do you want something so special?
It means something
to kind of mark that moment with that cigar. I don't know. I'm torn, but if it happened right now. If that victory happened right now, and I had to pull something, I'd probably pull the Opus X 13th Hour. They're not that easy to find. I mean, we have some here, but yeah, I think I'd go with something like that. But if I wanted something that I knew I was going to love, the problem is that I smoke it all the time, like an Oliva Melanio Maduro, right? I could smoke that all the time because that's such a good cigar and it's consistently good. But yeah, I would want to smoke something different than what I smoke every day, and so I would probably go with that 13th Hour.
I think
How about
you,
Jimmy?
I have 2 because that's the beauty of living in this country. You have options. I would have, and this is going to be kind of off the beaten path. I think the minute we win, like we're in the locker room, the game's over, we've won, and the champagne is flying. I'd have a nice. My father's cigar, La Promesa.
Oh, okay.
Because I've never had a bad La Promesa. I've never had a bad one. And then when I get to the house or you're at the club and you're at the lounge.
After party.
Yeah. By the way, I'm picturing Jimmy in the locker room with the ski goggles on and the La
ski
Promesa.
No, ski goggles are for weaklings. You got that champagne has got to
burn.
You worked your ass off for that championship. You got to get the sting in your eyes.
All right.
Claro.
I'm with you.
And then I'd have probably a Padron 64 nice, sitting back, in the lounge with a nice scotch, a nice bourbon, then we're talking. That's more you savor, you enjoy, and that's when you look at your significant other or your teammates, and you just kind of, yeah, buddy,
I'm a badass.
We're getting rich because of this, Bubba. We're getting rich. So
I got another cigar for you to try. It's the new Villiger do Brazil. That's a great championship cigar. Handcrafted entirely from the finest of Brazilian tobaccos, the Villiger New do Brazil shines the spotlight on the unique characteristics of tobacco grown in the legendary Bahia region. It's one of the most fertile regions of Brazil, known for the cultivation of oranges, sugarcane, and coffee. This region is also known for other top-class products, fine tobacco. Villiger Cigars harvests their own tobacco here on their company-owned fields, and only the best torcedores are selected to roll these puros elaborately by hand. The Villiger do Brazil is truly a luxury product for demanding aficionados. As the company's chairman, Heinrich Villiger, emphasizes, we control the entire manufacturing process to guarantee excellent quality, from the tobacco seed to the perfect cigar. The Villiger do Brazil is offered in 2 different wrappers, a Maduro and a Connecticut, named the Claro. The Maduro line is covered in an alluring Arapiraca wrapper and offers a robust to medium full body with strong aromas of bold flavors, leather, fruit, cocoa, and espresso bean. Cloaked in an elegant Bahia-grown Connecticut seed wrapper, the Villiger do Brazil Claro offers a satisfying medium body with a robust aroma of flavors of sweet cedar, coffee, and pepper. The Claro is a refined smoke with exotic, eye-opening character. The Villiger do Brazil is available in both Robusto and Toro sizes, so if you find yourself looking for the perfect championship cigar, go out and try one today. The Villiger do Brazil.
Woo! De Nacimiento, my man.
Wow.
I love it. Well, listen, this Davidoff Year of the Rabbit is starting to really do its thing, and now we're gonna step it up a notch and bring in some booze.
All right.
And now, Perfect Pairings, brought to you by Total Wine and More.
Bring out the booze.
All right, so we're ready to go. Time to booze it up thanks to our buddies at Total Wine and More. And great Scott, we've got Great Jones in the house from the big city of NYC. Now, before we get into this mighty fine, tasty treats, how is your smoke going, Mr.
Man,
Calvino?
When it started off, we were talking about that little zing and the thing right in the beginning. Now that it's cruised into, roughly the middle of the cigar, it's gotten past the tapered front of the Perfecto, and now it's into its widest point, the flavors have all balanced out beautifully. Like I liked the beginning, but then the transition
Right.
is a very refreshing one, because I think that if you had that zing the entire way, you'd probably tire of it. So I love how now it's just kind of like balanced out all the flavors. The zing is no longer like a peak. It's there, but it's there. It's part of this homogeneous group, right, of flavors. And that's that cedar. There's that creamy sweetness that it has. It has that sweet pepper zing that I talked about. Really a beautifully made cigar. And I love the transitions.
It's interesting. I never thought about the shape of the cigar affecting the smokability as it goes through, because the ratios,
part of it,
the ratios are different at the tip, since there's not as much cigar tobacco, and then as you go through and it gets wider and there's more tobacco, then it switches up.
So that's exactly right. So when a cigar is blended, the blend, is sometimes gives you transitions, but when you've got a shape like this one, you're guaranteeing a transition, right? No matter what, no matter how you blend it, you're guaranteeing transitions, because the physical aspect of the cigar is going to change. So when it goes from a very narrow taper to now a 54 ring gauge, it's a big difference. So now you're kind of surrounded by other tobaccos.
Does he know we're in the booze section and not in the X's and O's?
Well, he's always in the X's and O's. The way I look at it is, it's definitely to put it for me, for the non expert in this, it's almost like when you're on the highway and traffic has opened up, and you can now throttle it down and you can now open it up. That's what it is. This cigar has opened up, and now you're starting to see, oh, look, there's palm trees there. Oh, look at that architectural building over there. It's opened up, and now you're experiencing a lot more things.
He's on point with the metaphors today.
Is the Irish Puerto Rican sitting next to you in that traffic jam?
No, you're driving to the lobby because she's got a red dress on tonight. Epa! And now all it means is now it's ready for some booze.
Yep. So we've got the Great Jones Distillery.
Great Jones.
They're in New York City. They're on the corner of Great Jones and Broadway, which I think is such a cool address, right?
Claro.
So
not just Jones, Great Jones.
Great Jones. Literally the street is Great Jones. So Great Jones and Broadway is where New York's first distillery after Prohibition was opened. So these guys are the first to come back after Prohibition. So pretty cool. We're going to start off with the straight bourbon, which is their I'll show it to you here. By the way, if you're listening to this on the podcast, which I think is where the majority of people listen to us, on the audio only podcast, you can switch over to YouTube and you can just search for Cigar Snob, and you'll see the video versions of these where we talk about, and we kind of show you, it's the same exact show, but we show you the product so you can see it. So
smells amazing.
Yeah, it smells awesome, right? So it's a straight bourbon, 43% alcohol. It's a combination of mash bill of corn, malted barley, and rye. They don't tell us the percentages on the bottle, but you can definitely get that corn.
All right, so let's take a little swiggy swig. This is just before we've even puffed here. Here we go.
I'm ahead of you guys, so I'm getting a lot of vanilla and cream. It goes perfectly with the cigar already. God, that's from New York, huh? It's excellent.
That's nice.
Yeah.
You know
really
what?
nice.
Similarly to the cigar, the cigar, you've got that cedar and cream, and then you get the little pepper zing. Here you have that caramel from the bourbon, the vanilla, like Ivan said, but then you get that little zing from the rye in the back. You notice that?
Can I get some more? I didn't get enough pour on that.
Yummy was skipping on you.
It's the first of three. It's really a marathon. Nice. It's a marathon.
Really nice. This is my first time having it.
This is like when you get a sandwich and you put a nice spread on it, like a nice mayo or a nice tangy something on it. That's what this with the cigar so far.
Que más carne ni más carne, así viene el sándwich, man.
Arroz, porque carne hay. But that's a difference. But that's
you guys lost all the Anglos on the audience.
That's a different show. No, I tell you what, these two are playing so well together. Oh, and you nailed it, Erik. That little tang at the end.
Yeah, that's the rye.
Oh, so good. So I'm gonna do it the other way.
Rye
now.
Spice.
I'm gonna do it the other way now, where we take a little puffy puff and then a drinky drink.
So I love the fact that it's a New York distillery. right? For not that Davidoff is a New York brand, but it's very much a big city brand.
Mhm.
Davidoff isn't a brand that you think of, the plains of Idaho or anything like that. It's a big city brand, and so I think it's cool that there is a distillery in New York.
It's not Kentucky. It's not
Correct.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool. I loved it. I really did. I
really
like the
good.
Great Jones, and
It's
I
really
liked it
good.
with the cigar. It's fantastic.
So A or 1, off to a good start. And
Yeah.
this was straight bourbon.
Yep.
I love bourbon to begin
I love bourbon.
with. Full disclosure, I love bourbon. Bourbon.
Are we moving on to 2 or we're still on 1?
All right. No, I just wanted to give it one final.
One last hurrah.
Just to make sure.
Okay.
All right.
And-
So we're gonna
and
move
yes,
on now.
It is awesome. All right,
Yeah.
let's go to 2 or B.
So
What side of the brain you like to?
So again, this time we're not doing the blind, so that's what's different this time. Is we're just going vertical.
We
Right?
can
Great Jones
re-pour.
sent us these
we
bottles
can
to try.
re-pour when it's not.
And
blind.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can just hit it again. So now we're on to the Great Jones 4-grain. This is a 45%, also a straight bourbon whiskey. And this one is basically similar to the straight bourbon, except it adds an element of wheat.
Mhm.
So
a little
for-
heavier then.
no, wheat is actually a milder.
Okay.
So a wheated bourbon makes it a little bit milder, maybe a little sweeter. It allows the other sweetness to come out. So think of wheat like wheat bread.
Okay.
When you think of the grains, when you think of corn, think of cornbread, right? And rye. If when you have rye, it's got that spiciness
Yeah.
to it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's almost like a minty sort of mentally spiciness that it has, right?
Okay. And the difference between the cornbread and the wheat bread?
So corn is sweet,
Sweet.
right? When you think of
Sweet.
cornbread, it's inherently sweet.
And a little heavier.
Yeah.
Right.
And so and then you've got malted barley. Think of beer, right? That's what beer is mostly made of. Barley.
Okay.
And then think of wheat bread. Wheat bread tends to be mild in flavor, right? People typically that don't like wheat bread, they're like, oh, it doesn't taste like anything, right?
Right.
Well, that's what wheat does here. Is it gives you, it kind of knocks everything down just a hair. I haven't tried it yet.
All right. It's a lot clearer.
Well, these are probably all aged the same. By the way, I don't know if it matters because I didn't get a lot of information, but this one on the 4-grain is bottle number 15119 from batch number 001.
Ooh.
So pretty cool that we have batch number 1 here. I don't know. Again, I don't know enough of the differences, but we've got batch 1.
All right.
So
Here we
now
go.
we're on to.
Well, it's definitely lighter.
You already tasted it?
Yes, it's definitely lighter. I almost wonder if you need the cigar first before you need the
All right.
Oh.
I'll do that first.
It totally
I'll-
knocks down that rye.
Oh.
Knocks it down completely. Like
Yeah,
it's
see-
not there.
See, I like
I mean,
rye.
even though it is there. but
I'm a big rye guy. I love rye.
you're a bourbon guy, you're a rye guy, you're a tequila guy,
I'm-
you're a.
I'm not a tequila guy. I have something. I have a medical condition with tequila that it disintegrates my pants. They just. I don't know if it's a blood to skin ratio.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. I've heard of that.
It's called instant divorcee. I think it's called. Look it up. Look it up. It's true.
So I think this may work better with the cigar. I think you can although the first one, the straight bourbon, you can totally have the cigar with it. It paired nicely. But I think this one has more legs. Like you can do that longer. You can do this pairing longer because it's not, that spice is not going to overwhelm the cigar. Over time, I think the straight bourbon with the high rye probably overpower the cigar after a little while. This one, I think they can dance all night.
Yeah, they're definitely playing well with each other. See, I like that little kick at the end that the rye gave me.
I do too, but we're talking about, with the cigar, how it goes.
So for my palate, I like the first one.
I agree.
I like the first one. This is good on its own. Nothing. It doesn't really enhance the cigar. Doesn't take anything away from the cigar. The experience with the straight bourbon was better for me.
See, now I know all the background information. Now I do think it's a little too mellow for the cigar.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. You'll be able to do it longer.
You'll be able to go longer and enjoy both, right? Whereas the bourbon, I like the bourbon better. than the 4-grain.
Uh-huh.
But I think that with a cigar, I'd go with the 4-grain to kind of last longer. I think.
Wait, what are we talking about?
And now you can last 9 hours.
you know when they say, hey, if you've got a that lasts for more than 4 hours, you should call a doctor. If I have a that lasts for more than 4 hours, I'm calling everyone I know. Hey, come over to the house.
Check this
Check
out.
this out. Yeah.
For real. Influencer time.
Very good. I mean,
Very smooth.
It's not as prominent or full of flavor as that first one, but it's still very smooth, very good.
So, weeded bourbons are a thing, right? Like Weller is a weeded bourbon. Maker's Mark is a weeded bourbon. They're popular. They're extremely popular because they don't have that, some people don't want that punch in the face that the rye gives you, right?
Yeah.
So my question would be, and we still have to get to the rye.
Yeah.
Are these mixing bourbons? Or would you put this in an old fashioned? Would this all stand on its own?
We haven't had the rye yet, but again, you know how I feel about old fashions. I think old fashions should always be made with rye.
I agree.
And so we haven't had it yet. We were about to, but I don't think these are mixing. Like I enjoy bourbon by itself.
Mhm.
That's just me. What we do here on the show, that's exactly how I drink them at home.
Gotcha.
I mean,
No ice, always neat.
me personally, that's how I do it. But I know that you get hammered quick that way.
Right.
It gets you
I like
from
them on
point
the
A to
rock.
point B.
I like them on the rocks. I
just don't like to
straight?
dilute it,
Yeah.
Just straight bourbon on the rocks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always. Straight bourbon on the rocks.
Yeah, and I feel the same way about that as I feel about cigars. People try to tell you how to consume something. No, I think you should try the way that the distiller says you should do it.
Mm-hmm.
But then you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
And I don't judge anybody for doing anything.
Now, do you like one big cube or do you like?
Well,
Tons
what
of
I do
cubes.
like about a big cube, if I'm drinking on the rocks, is that the cube dilutes a lot slower.
Yes.
So it cools the drink fast, but it doesn't dilute. Whereas, crappy, I was about to say shitty ice.
Yeah. Don't say shitty.
Nah, shouldn't say shitty. So bad ice melts too fast.
Right.
So yeah, I like a big cube because it lasts longer. But again, the way that I drink these things is neat.
That was my nickname in college. Big cube.
Or shitty ice.
Shitty ice.
Well, it depends. Depends where you got me. All right. So let's move on to C. This is the rye.
So this is 100% straight rye.
Ooh,
It's 45% alcohol.
this is my part.
And I'll
right
show you
here.
this bottle here.
I'm a big rye guy.
I'm a big rye guy. All right.
The green.
Not the Hall of Fame punter.
Are ryes usually green?
The bottles for rye
Yeah, well,
always
are they?
have green on them.
Bullet rye is green.
No, all of them. Angel's
they're all-
Envy
yeah,
will
they're
always
all
have green.
green,
I mean, they all, whenever they do a rye, they
Was there a
typically-
meeting? Was there a meeting that said, "Okay, ryes are green"?
Yeah, I don't know where that comes from. I really don't.
If you do at home, let us know.
Yeah.
because we need to know.
Man, the nose is so different.
It's peppery.
Smoky, right?
Yeah.
With,
Smoky.
but sweet.
Oh, this is gonna be good. I love you all.
So
Oh.
different. It's
I
to me.
like that the best. Me.
I
I
like
like
A. To me, this is a little, I don't know,
Hmm.
medicinal.
No, I like that the best.
I see. Again,
No, I didn't mean that in a bad way.
full
I just-
disclosure, you give me rye any day.
Yeah.
No, but I do. I like it the best because I find that it's fuller on the palate, personally, and it's silky.
Mhm.
It's very different from the other two. It's almost a different distillery.
So, Ivan, how does it play with the cigar? That's the ultimate here.
I think there's a lot going on in this in the rye.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I tasted. Let me see. Let me give it another whirl. The sweetness is less. It almost has like a floral citrus. It is peppery, and a little bit medicinal. I think it has too much going on
See,
for me to enjoy with the cigar.
Yeah, I think it knocks the cigar down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, on its own, I like this one.
Like I would drink this if I was just got to the bar. Hey, let me have the Great Jones rye. No cigar, no nothing.
Yeah. Good times.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But
I might even dip my toe in the pool and have it neat.
Ooh.
That's
Look at
how
you.
Good, that's how good this is.
No, I do like it. I like it a lot. I like it better than the bourbon. As I said earlier, I like it better than the 4-grain and the straight bourbon because I think it's more balanced on the palate.
is it stronger in alcohol?
It's the same strength as the 4-grain, which is 45%.
Because it made my left ear hurt. I don't. It must be strong.
No, I like it. I like it. I do think it overpowers a cigar.
Yeah. So okay. So if we had a conclusion to be made, for me, I think I have to go with the straight bourbon. The first one we had, I think, pairs perfectly with this Davidoff Year of the Rabbit.
Me too.
You like.
I'm
number
gonna
two.
I'm gonna go
You
with
like B.
I'm gonna go with the 4-grain and the cigar.
Mm-hmm.
I think that combination for the sole purpose that you can enjoy it longer.
Mm-hmm.
That wheat kind of knocks everything down, and you can just enjoy it for a longer period of time. I think you'd get tired of that zing, and with the cigar again
So
on its own.
I
I
think
would
the
have the
zing.
rye.
I like the zing with the cigar.
before you get into what you were going to say here, I just want to ask, which I always ask, what the price is on these, and while you look that up, what is it that you enjoyed about it?
Well, again, I think if I was just sipping, not smoking, the rye 100%. 100%. I'm in.
You order rice when you go out?
I do. I
You
do. I'm more of a bullet rye guy.
Bullet rye.
Bullet rye. I put that in my old fashions.
Yeah.
And you know you're doing well when you're at a lounge and you say, "Can I get an old fashioned?" What would you like? And you say, "Bullet rye." Like, oh, you get a little nod from the bartender. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
We were in Corona Cigar recently last week. We were in the PGA show, and I had a new bourbon that I hadn't had before, and it was excellent. It was, I don't want to overstep on Great Jones, but I had the Jefferson's Ocean.
Excellent. That was
Excellent.
outstanding.
Outstanding. It wasn't a rye, but it was more of I think it was closer to the straight bourbon here that we had with the first one, and I like the first one the best.
So the thing about Ocean, again, not to put on a different show than
Cross
the Great
streams.
Jones, but the Ocean is aged in barrels on ships, which is why it's Jefferson's Ocean.
What does the ship have to do with it?
The movement of the ocean in the barrel. So
Is anybody else thinking dirty thoughts? It's not the
It's
not the motion of the ocean.
it's not the size of the ship. It's the motion of the ocean.
I don't use that line,
Poor,
so I wasn't
poor,
thinking.
poor Nat, our executive producer. She's like,
She has
guys,
to do
really?
with
Why
your
does everything have
moronic-
to come down to that? When?
No one's ever said to me, "You need better motion in your ocean."
Oh,
Kidding.
But your boat, terrible.
Terrible. It all
Thank you,
sucks.
Jim.
It all sucks.
thank you for bringing him back.
But your boat, terrible. Put your dinghy over there.
Dinghy over there. You got it.
Don't you have a friend?
All right, so yeah, it looks like it's in the $40 to $44
That's not bad.
range.
That's not terrible.
Yeah,
No, perfect.
Great Jones.
no, excellent effort by these guys. I
Yeah,
really enjoyed it.
you know, considering how expensive New York is, $40 bottle of rye, $40 bottle of
And-
bourbon.
and,
It's not bad.
And after having that, right, that would be fantastic in an old fashioned. No doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
Killer. But I like it on its own. And I like it with the cigar, although I think it does overpower it a bit. But when I do want to say one thing though before you read your ad read. So when a spirit overpowers a cigar, which often happens, right? Like when you walk into a bar, you're not thinking, "Oh, I'm going to smoke this, so let me get." You're not typically doing that. Like nobody drinks like that. You go, "Oh, I'm in the mood for a Davidoff Year of the Rabbit," and you go and you buy your Year of the Rabbit, you start smoking, and then you go to the bar, you saddle up to the bar, and they ask you, "What do you want to drink?" Right? And you probably drink whatever the hell you were in the mood to drink. If your drink overpowers the cigar, just wait a second. Take the sip from the spirit, whatever it may be. Take one puff from the cigar. You're going to find that the cigar doesn't taste like anything if it overpowers it. Don't take another sip. Take another puff.
Okay.
And now your cigar will start to find its place within that spirit. And then take another puff.
If I have to get that analytical, I'm not enjoying that pairing.
Yeah, you
I don't
are.
know. No. I
Well,
don't
so
think
then you'd rather sit at the bar and smoke a cigar that you can't taste while you're drinking the
So
spirit?
it happened to me yesterday. I was driving down from Jacksonville.
While drinking and driving, huh?
No. And I was taking
And
a
we
puff,
pull
and I
and
was
we
taking a
pull the
drink,
curtain back, and now
and
we're
then I
all in
went through
trouble.
the toll booth.
Officer, I don't know. Talk to Jasper. He has all our information.
So, assuming you're out at a retail establishment, smoking and drinking at the same time, not a lot of people have, that
Cigar bars?
that
What?
availability, but most places do. In this case, I was at one that didn't have alcohol in the cigar shop, but I had to go next door to get a drink.
I love
Okay.
it. So like nefarious. I love it.
Huh?
I love that. I love that you have to like not sneak
So there was
around.
a
It
bar
wasn't
next
a-
door.
it
So
wa-
you left your cigar on the ashtray, went to go get a drink, and came back over?
Okay, no. They have tables outside, and they were like, "You can." I was like, "How can I drink and smoke at the same time?" And they said, "You can take your cigar outside, sit on the terrace, get a drink from next door, and then you can do it there."
Right?
Right?
Your uncle, yeah.
Yeah. So I went and I purchased the cigar that I wanted to smoke. Went over there, and then I bought whatever drink they had, which was like a craft beer place, right?
Okay.
So I picked whatever the best craft beer that I was in the mood for at that time, and then I enjoyed them together.
Correct, but
No.
a beer is typically not going to overpower the cigar. Typically, the spirit,
I'm
because
just-
of the level of
right,
alcohol,
right.
it can completely overpower the cigar, and you can't taste it. And so, what I'm offering to the listener
Some solution, yeah.
is a solution,
Yeah.
so that if you are in that scenario where, oh man, I picked up spirit that now completely overshadowed my cigar,
Mhm.
there's a way that you can enjoy it, right? Which is just decrease the number of sips and increase the number of puffs. And that way you can enjoy it without having to think about it all that much.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
And the beauty of it is, once you finish your drink, you have another option.
What is it?
Another drink.
Another
cocktail.
drink?
Another cocktail. Well, while we go, that's like,
Huh?
you guys, nobody's making any sense here. All right. So with Eddie Guerra, who we talked to a couple days ago, the Hollywood fashion plate, by the way. We're going to get to him in a minute. But first, as always, Perfect Pairings, and thanks to Great Jones for hooking us up, is brought to you by Total Wine and More, where you always find the right bottle at the right price with their lowest price guarantee. You can visit Total Wine and More at TotalWine.com. To me, I have two people in the fashion world, in the fashion cigar world. There's Mike Herklotz and there's Eddie Guerra.
Oh,
Mm.
that's how you
You're
feel
not
about
including
this, huh?
yourself in there because you're
no,
pretty spiffy.
no. You never. First of all, you never you never give yourself a nickname.
You're
right?
pretty spiffy.
You never give yourself a nickname.
Okay.
Somebody has to give you a nickname.
Okay.
Like J-Rod was given to me. Therefore, for me, it's Herklotz and Eddie Guerra. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Eddie Guerra.
All right. So we are here with Mr. Eddie Guerra, Senior Brand Manager for Davidoff USA, Davidoff Cigars. Which one? How does it go?
Davidoff USA.
So Senior Brand Manager for Davidoff USA. For
Yes.
the whole Davidoff USA.
The whole Davidoff USA.
Coño, congratulations, bro. That's
Coño,
awesome.
man. Thank you. Technically, the Caribbean and Latin America as well, but we just say Davidoff USA.
Look at you
International,
guys.
bro. International.
Big timing the
Yeah.
Central Americans. That's not cool.
No.
I'm kidding. So yeah, man. Thanks for coming, bro. Thanks for we did this a long time ago.
We did.
But-
I'm glad that we're here.
Let's jump right into it.
Cool.
So let's talk first about Camacho. Right,
Cool.
Camacho. I think for the last couple of years we haven't seen a whole lot going on. There was like the burger event.
Yep.
But now we've got the new Factory Unleashed coming next year, right?
Yep.
And so tell us about the new Factory Unleashed.
Yeah, no problem. So Factory Unleashed is a project that we started. This is going to be its third year.
Third, yeah.
Yeah. And what that was is we, at the beginning of the pandemic, when everything shut down, we had to stop doing our Camp Camacho factory tours. And at the same time, we were innovating and we wanted to figure out ways to connect with people on a little bit more humanized level, I guess is the best way to say it. And we couldn't go to the factory. So we thought, well, what's the best way to bring the factory to the people? And you've been on the trip, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
so-
years ago. Not the new factory though.
Oh, okay. So in the factory tour, there's a moment where you get to sit with the master blender and everybody gets to have their own blend created and they go home with this Camacho factory blend and you only get 10 cigars, and yeah, it's cool.
And it's your blend.
It's your blend. And something that we felt strongly about was like, man, that was a special moment for people. It would be for me, and I work for the company, so I can imagine for somebody that doesn't work there, right? It's an incredible moment. And everything gets kind of, I don't want to use the word tracked, but we keep a catalog of all these blends that have been created, and
what tobaccos are used more than others, and
correct,
right.
yeah. And this concept came about of like, well, if people can't come to the factory, why don't we pick one of the best factory blends that were created, and let's just release this to the market. And we built campaigns around it at the time, and it was to give people something a little bit more raw and humanistic, and something that you would normally get when you're at the factory versus the rest of our core line.
Yeah.
And
so rather than a blend created by the master blender, you're basically taking a blend created by a consumer that happened to be really good, and then probably, I imagine, tweaked a little.
For sure, yeah. I mean, the master blender totally plays a part of,
of course.
Consumers make their own
it'd be
blends.
silly to think that.
But with the guidance,
Yeah.
right? So it's balanced out and aged and processed and that whole thing. And we released it in 100-count crates. So it was meant to be priced right under our core line, something to get people interested and have something rare and unique. And the idea was also, why couldn't you have an annual release / limited product that's not $20? And that was the other thing, like, let's create this really cool demand for something that is easily attainable and connected to the factory. And then, we were going to build this whole program around it, and we did, and it's been amazing. Every year it's sold out rather quickly.
You mean when you're talking about that, you're talking about the factory tours themselves?
So we built a platform. So part of this process, and if you haven't been to the platform, if anyone goes to campcamacho.com, you'll see what it is. We built an online community in which it's interesting. It takes you on a journey as a consumer. So aside from it being like a community where people can post and show pictures of what they're smoking, what it also does, it's if you think of like the Boy Scouts, you do certain things, you get badges and rewards.
Yeah.
We integrated a system just like that, to where as people go through along with the journey and complete tasks, and it could be like smoking the entire line, checking into stores that we call Camacho Outposts. You continue to get points and
rewards.
Precisely. And then you start winning like these incredible coins that we send to your house. And long story short, at the end of this entire journey, you become part of the board of the bold, where we put your name on the factory wall. It's a super cool thing, but you really just have a huge community of Camacho fans in there.
So when I went to the Camacho factory years ago, I didn't have to go through any sort of Boy Scout badge process to get my name on the wall. They were like, "Do you want to write your name on the wall?" I was like, "Yeah."
You're also Erik.
No, everybody. We all did. It was you didn't have that program back then, but
yes, but it's been really neat, man.
Yeah,
and
cool.
We built this program also to help our retailers. We're driving business to the stores by making them outposts and creating these awesome tour experiences that we've been doing. We did the one with Burger Beast this past year, the Bold Burger Battle, and we try so many things marketing wise, and you mentioned something, you're like, hey man, you've been kind of quiet or whatever. It's not that we've been quiet. It's we've chosen to innovate in experience versus innovate in physical product for the past 2 years. Product's great, it's fantastic, but really connecting with the people and showing them something that become loyalists of the brand is something that we really focused on, and it's something that,
and that's understandable. And so and it's always been very successful in the cigar business. Always.
It is. And we have the privilege of attending a lot of events throughout the year, not just our brands, bunch of other brands, and I like to observe a lot and see interactions. And the big thing that's a takeaway for me is, people do these deals where it's like, you buy 3 cigars, you get 1 or whatever. And that just makes, in my opinion, just makes people loyal to the deal versus loyal to the brand. So we just say, you know what, let's put some real money into showcasing
an experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something that'll get you out of your house on a Thursday night. because a sale is not going to get you out of a house on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
And if another brand comes the next day and does a deal, then you'll buy their. For me, I want you to go home and be like, man, that was awesome. I'll never forget that night. I'm going to talk to my friends about it. Oh, that one
and it
time.
changes your perception of the brand 100%.
And that's where we really zeroed in on.
So people can find out more about that by going to campcamacho.com.
Yeah.
And then can they also sign up, because you started the factory tours back up, and that's always been, a fun thing, right?
It's definitely a factory tour like no other. I've been to a few, and I'm not going to sit there and completely compare it to people, but we definitely do things the Camacho way. And we are opening it back up this year, and on campcamacho.com, shortly we're going to announce all the dates. So, and when I mean shortly, I mean within the next couple weeks. So
what date is that? Because this will probably, depends on when the show drops. So when are the dates going to be announced, more or less?
In December.
Like December?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you've also got for Camacho this new Off the Grid campaign, which is why you were surprised. Hey, surprise! You're here.
Yeah, it is. So the Camacho.
What was that about?
Man, so this is going to be really fun. And building on the success of last year's Bull Burger Battle Tour, we realized sometimes going back to basics, Camacho back in the day did these incredible tours, and it really moves the needle, and you get to touch a lot of, hearts and minds doing that. So Off the Grid is something, it started off as an internal thing we would say to each other. Hey, man, I'm going to go off the grid. I'm, with some of the friends, we're going to go to a cigar shop. No one bother me. I'm off the grid. I'm going to go enjoy some cigars.
Yeah, turn off my cell phone.
Yeah, peace out. It's Camacho time. And as you know, there's a lot of other lifestyle brands and activities are synonymous with the brand.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at going off the grid, like a lot of tactical, a lot of overlander community stuff. So we really kind of embraced that. And we teamed up with some people where we're putting together this Off the Grid Fest. It's going to be out in the Everglades. We're going to do 2 of them next year, partnered up with the Gladesmen. And last year they did about 4,000 people, but it's super unique. It's a ton of overlander community people, Jeeps, Defenders, all that stuff going out there, camping, bonfires. They do the hooligan races where it's like motorcycles racing around flat tracks. Like it's really out in the woods. We're going to do this thing called Dinner with Giants, where you have the Mel from La Trala Barbecues won all these barbecue awards. He's going to go out there and do a huge cigar dinner, and it's like a camp out overnight thing. It's just people going off the grid and having a good old time.
And so people are they're gonna bring their own camping gear.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and it so this event has existed before. We came in and now we're taking it over as Camacho, and we're just gonna Camacho-fy it.
Yeah,
and integrate cigars and just make it big and bold. But it already exists. It's not something that we're just completely inventing. So it's already like super busy. We think we're probably going to amplify it significantly with our brand.
And so do you have the dates already for that?
So the dates are going to be announced, but I can tell you they're in April. I can't tell you when in April. That's being finalized. But what is happening is, so those are the 2 pinnacle events that we're doing next year. But we're going to downsize it so we could scale it, and we're going to put it across 50 retailers in the United States. So, and this is where we're going to do the Off the Grid tour, which is really unique. Like, we're going to pop up in people's stores. We're going to communicate with the overlander community and store size pending, parking lot pending. There'll be Jeep meetups, Defender meetups, whatever. We have like this, we're building like a photo backdrop, but for like vehicles. So it's like this huge thing where people drive in front, they get their photo taken, their car photo really taken in front of. Yeah, I'm bringing Mel from La Tralia. He's doing like Texas style barbecue at all the shops, and it's pretty much Camacho. When you think about what gets you, and I say this line a lot, what's going to get me out of my house on a Thursday night? Like we're trying to create that.
Yeah.
Inside stores and create, dude, like great drinks. Coconut Cartel is going to tour with us as well. So great drinks, great barbecue. Cool people meeting up.
The last time you guys did a tour like this,
I heard.
I actually,
I heard.
We jumped in the truck and did a couple of cities with you guys. So I don't know if I can do that this year or next year, I should say, but we'll try.
Yeah,
it was a good time.
It's fun, and last year, like we resurrected it, and you guys were at the first one that we did here in Miami.
Yeah, so what I wanna.
Yeah, and it's unique because, last year what we did was like, man, we rolled out 1,500 square feet in AstroTurf, picnic benches, string lights. Like, we really did a full takeover. We learned from that. We're kind of improving it, and we really just want people to take away with an experience. Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a good time.
Awesome. So you also did now with the other brands that you manage. You also with Avo,
Yep.
you're doing a cool like listening rooms
Yeah.
thing that I think is. I mean, I don't know, but you guys, every one of these things that you're coming up with, it sounds like if they're like tailor made for me. Like I love all of that, like the camping stuff. My family, we camp all the time.
Yeah.
The listening room stuff. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you guys could do something for golf, then we'll be like completely.
We're almost there, right? Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned that because that really is a personal passion project of mine. I love the Japanese style audio bar listening room thing that, it's kind of exploded in the United States. There's a place in Miami called Dante's Hi-Fi. I don't know if you've been there or not. I'm sure you have, but it's basically that. And you walk into this cool room and there's like a ton of vinyl everywhere. And then you have like this DJ that's curating music for the evening that's just like rare and unique, and it causes great conversation. And we wanted to do that, and we're gonna do that in 50 shops around the United States, but we're gonna add a really cool flair to it. So if you've ever been to a cigar shop, a lot of times around 7 p.m., 8 p.m., they're like, all right, everybody out, closing the doors, we're going home, right? And normally the owner will stay there with 4 or 5 friends and they just smoke after hours. And so like the whole concept is that like kick people out at after hours. It then opens up as the Avo Hi-Fi listening room.
Oh, I like that.
So it starts later, and we transform the place. We bring
like
all
the
the
old South Beach clubs that we had
right, the mix
when we were younger. Yeah.
And transform the place and candle lights and record vinyls and bringing in the DJs. We're putting a lot of stuff into creating this experience, the neon lights, and transforming into these after hour like audio listening rooms that again it creates an experience for somebody to go home and go, man, that was absolutely different.
Yeah.
It's not about what deal did I get to try this new product. Like really everything for both Avo and Camacho, like we're tailoring it around the brand. So it's not about a specific line.
Yeah, like the true brand identity.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, I mean, obviously Avo with the music is spot on, right?
Right.
So I think that's really neat. I
Mhm.
can't. So do you have? How do people find out about those events? Is it just following Avo on social media?
Basically, just following Avo on social media. We are going to make
going to send out press releases.
Absolutely. We're going to make a bunch of announcements. A lot of these things are going to basically start in March and April, and then they'll run towards the end of the year. And then we are, it'll be simultaneously programmed with, we got about 4 limited editions or limited releases, we call them, for Avo that we're
I'm excited about those, man.
to drop next year. I'd talk about it more if I could, but I can't right now.
Yeah, I know.
But you know about it. I got to speak with you about it. I think it'll be something interesting and unique for people. They'll find it refreshing, and we've been a little quiet, but we haven't. We've been working away and trying to produce stuff, and I think everyone's gonna find out why.
So, I mean, we buried the lead on this whole thing that we've done, right? So we talked about Camacho, talked about Avo, but your limited release conversation segues perfectly into this thing that we're smoking.
Oh yeah,
right. We are smoking the
Year of
the Rabbit.
Yeah,
and so, man, what a killer smoke!
Thank you, because I know you'd tell me the truth if you didn't like it.
Yeah, it's incredibly well balanced. It's very flavorful. I would say that it's got a unique like nuttiness to it, but it's not just like standard almond or standard nuttiness.
Yeah,
it's a unique like a spicy nut. It's very, very interesting.
Yep.
It has that little herbal note, but just like really hidden back there. Tons of cream. Tons of it. So yeah, I showed you one of the boxes that I have.
Yeah. So you definitely know.
And I have every one of these year of.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I have to smoke a couple more, but this may be my favorite.
Yeah. So before we started today, you know, and I was talking to you about it briefly. You know, I've had the privilege of being a part of the innovation team, and the blends were sent 2 years ago because we planned 3 years in advance, and we're working on these things. And I've been smoking the blend that got chosen. I've been smoking it for 2 years now, and it's like I told you, everybody has a different palate. Everyone says this and that. To me, this is in the top 2 cigars I've smoked in my life. That's my palate.
Yeah.
And I smoke a lot, so I think it counts for something, but it is such a unique cigar. I love that cream and I love that leather, you know, and it's not super strong at all, but it's also not mild.
It's also not mild, yeah. It also has it has some like unique little hits that like kind of come in and out.
Yeah.
Like a little eucalyptus back there somewhere. It's a very interesting smoke. It's not, you're not gonna smoke it and say, okay, yeah, I smoked it, whatever.
Mm-mm.
It's not that. You're gonna smoke it and it's gonna make you think about it.
Oh, it's certainly a cigar. I was telling Ivan before I walked out, I said, man, you know, I'm gonna smoke this now, and I won't smoke anything else for the rest of the day. And I smoke a lot, you know. But so for me to say that is because I don't want to ruin anything afterwards, because like nothing can compare to this to me, and I don't want to mess with my palate that way. So like, you know, if you are gonna smoke one of these, like, I mean, you can smoke it, you know, back to back or do whatever you want to do. But for me, like, I can smoke, if I'm only gonna smoke one cigar, dude.
Let me ask you what, since you've smoked so many of them, this is my first.
Yeah.
So what kind of spirit would you put this with?
Man, that is a very good question.
By the way, I mean, I'm sorry, but it screams Scotch.
Yeah,
to me it does.
Because
I mean, it screams,
for me,
and not even like a peaty Scotch.
No.
Like
it's got to be a space side, something.
Like a space side, exactly.
Something that's got like that silk and honey.
Yeah, and that's like dried fruit to complement this.
I'll probably, you know, do some Arborfeldy with this because it's very like heavy on the honey, in my opinion. That just, it gives that.
It's called the honey dram.
It actually it is. It actually is. Shit. I actually had this last night with the Glenlivet 14 with the cognac cask.
Yeah.
Which I think is super underrated. I think phenomenal, you know, dram.
I love all of those finished, you know, with cognac finished, or
Absolutely.
We had on the show we drank the, I was going to say we smoked. We drank the Glenlivet, the Glenfiddich 12-year Amontillado cask, because they sent it to us. I thought that was delicious. Amontillado is that sherry cask.
Yeah, I have a love affair with Glenfiddich.
Do you really?
Yeah, you know, I really never liked them at the beginning, and I became their biggest purchaser in Southeast Asia when I had the bars out there those years ago. So they kind of flew me to the distillery, and they did a whole, like, really immersed me into the brand. And believe it or not, that is kind of what changed my vision internally and my career path, because then I understood what true experience marketing is.
Well, their tour is second to none.
And to me, it was like proof, like, dude, you were giving this to me for free. I never gave a crap. I went and I saw and I learned and I experienced, and to me, it became the best made single malt.
Yeah.
Now, is it really the best made? I don't know, you know, but that is my perception.
Yeah.
So, ironically, that's how
cool.
I've moved on in my career. I don't know how we ended up on that part. But
well, hey, listen, we take little
perfect.
journeys.
Yeah.
And I do want to say, though, again, one more time, this thing is killer.
Yeah.
So how many of these were made? I mean, I put you on the spot. I know.
Yeah. I not many.
We'll throw the number on there.
Yeah,
on the bottom.
But they are $50 a piece.
Yeah.
And a box of 10. So it's fantastic. You cannot go wrong, man. And the packaging is stunning, man. The way
it always is, though. The year of the whatever is always stunning.
This year was extremely unique because they basically built a rabbit hole like home. So like it's that weird maze looking thing. It's absolutely stunning.
Cool,
So-
man. So thank you again, as always, for coming down. Tell us how, or tell the listeners how they can find out more information about the brands Camacho, Avo, Davidoff.
Yeah, so we actually are extremely engaging on our social channels. To me, it's the best way because we actually work them ourselves. It's not like there's some random agency doing it. Like we're very hands on with that. So at Camacho Cigars for Camacho on Instagram. You can also find us Camacho Cigars on Facebook, and then for Avo, it's Avo Cigar singular. And then same thing on Instagram.
We'll put all these links
and
underneath.
then Davidoff is Davidoff Cigars. And then for Avo, we also do some pretty cool things. So on Spotify, if you go to Avo Cigar, you'll see like the Avo Hi-Fi listening room. So we already got like 10 playlists up there of like really cool, unique music that's been curated by some pretty well-known names, like Grammy Award-winning artists. I have curated stuff. So that's something else that we're gonna unveil. But if you
you can already go to Spotify and check that out.
You can already go to Spotify and check it out because the idea is, if you see on our social media, we're doing a lot of stuff with a lot of cool brands, seeing all of our synergies and everybody as artists, they express themselves. So music's a lot of inspiration for a lot of people, not just Avo, and they put together music that inspires them and their creations and all that kind of stuff. And it's actually really unique because you get to learn about a lot of their brands and what inspires them and how to connect them with cigars. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. So
Yeah.
Thank you again, my brother.
Oh,
thank
man,
you
thank you.
for the years of friendship.
Likewise.
Thanks for always thinking of us, and you're always welcome here. So
Oh man, thank you so
anytime
much.
you want to come back.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, bro.
All right, brother. Thank you, guys.
If you're like me and look forward to cozying up to a warm fireplace after a long day on the range, kicking off your boots and settling into a nice big bowl of chili con queso, then you'd love the La Aurora 107 Nicaragua. This Dominican-made Nicaraguan puro is a bold new blend with tons of flavor made with the same craftsmanship that has made La Aurora Cigars one of the oldest and premium cigar makers in all the world. Started in the Dominican Republic in 1903, La Aurora Cigars was founded by the young Eduardo Leon Jimenez, who set out to fulfill his dream of making great cigars. Today, over a century later, La Aurora has a presence in 5 continents and more than 1,000 employees. The original La Aurora 107 was released in 2010, commemorating the company's 107 years in business. Now the La Aurora 107 Nicaragua brings a bolder new profile to smokers who have become accustomed to smoking the consistent quality and excellence of La Aurora cigars. The 107 Nicaragua comes to life with a diverse array of spicy notes accompanied by a subtle touch of leather. A rich balance of earth, wood, and floral notes flourishes deeper into the smoke with a characteristic pinch of licorice and walnut on the finish. Made in 4 sizes, a 7x47 Churchill, 6x58 Grand Toro, 5.5x54 Toro, and a 5x50 Robusto. The La Aurora 107 Nicaragua is a perfect complement to any rum cocktail, steak dinner, or even my famous chili con queso. Go on out and get yourself one and tell them Jasper sent you.
Thank you, Jasper. Well, I'll tell you what. Good times with Great Jones. Thanks to Total Wine and More, of course. Thanks to everyone associated with Total Wine and More, always taking care of us. All right, so as we're at the end of the show, we're almost at the end of our smoky treat. Ivan, where are you right now with this amazing Davidoff Year of the Rabbit?
I'm past you guys.
You are.
Apparently.
I think we talk more than you.
Or I've been smoking the hell out of it.
Yeah,
I've really enjoyed it. I mean, you're
working. You're working. You're. I see you feverishly taking copious
notes.
Taking copious
I
notes.
do. I mean, that's just what I do. I mean, I'm accustomed to taking notes as I smoke. I enjoy my smokes better that way. But this is one of those that I smoke down to the nub. It is one of those celebratory, special occasion cigars. I've enjoyed it tremendously. I mean, it's definitely worth the price. It's worth the time. It's I know there's a lot of companies that have put out a lot of these year
Zodiacs,
of Zodiac stuff, but I don't think anything compares to this. This has been very, very good.
I think some people would have something to say about what you just said, but
I know.
But at any rate, but this is it's a fine smoke, right? And right now, where I'm at in the cigar. So I took the secondary band off, and so now that pepper that was in there in the beginning, as the cigar has heated up, it has come back. So that pepper zing is back in there, which again I think is very nice to have those ebbs and flows in a blend, and so I think it is a beautifully blended cigar. Again, it's all those same flavors that were there before. Nothing new has come up, but it's just that it changes the ratios of how much you get. And now I get that zing again, which is lovely. So again, to kind of put it all together again, it's that cedar, it's that cream, there's that pepper sweetness, and there's a little like a tea, like a black tea note in the back that I failed to mention earlier because it was very subtle. Now it's kind of come back. So yeah, lovely smoke, and it's got a complexity, which is what I think when Ivan says it tastes expensive. I think that's what he means by that, because there's something to that, right? Like when you smoke a cigar that you know has cheap tobacco in it, you don't know as a consumer. You don't know how to put your finger on it.
Mhm.
You don't know, but you're like, yeah, I don't like it. Or, yeah, another way to say that is it tastes cheap. When you have this very well-aged tobacco, very well blended and produced, then you get this, right? And that's what I really love about this cigar, is that it fills that.
I've always thought when you're smoking a cigar, whether you're in your backyard, whether you're in your favorite lounge, wherever you are, it's all about an experience. I think that's the point of smoking a premium hand-rolled cigar. It's about experiences. And the one thing about Davidoff, whether you are a fan, not a fan, never had one before, you get an experience. And I think Erik illustrated it perfectly in that it takes you on a journey. And, the beginning of it was a little spicy, a little tangy. It grabbed your attention. Then it sort of mellowed out a little bit to open up your palate. And then you're back down. To your point, I get that spice, and it takes you on a journey. And I think that's what you want, because that's what smoking a cigar is, an experience. And that's what you're getting with this Year of the Rabbit. And yeah, $50, woo, of course. But every penny is accounted for in this blend. Every penny is accounted for in this smoke. It is so well constructed, so well made, and it is a journey, which, oftentimes it's not, what do they say? It's not about the end.
The destination.
It's not about the destination. It's the journey, and the journey on this is amazing.
And a story I forgot to mention. I recently went to a Christmas party, and I have a Davidoff Year of the Rabbit in my pocket for this special occasion Christmas party that I go to, and somebody's there that usually gives me a special cigar whenever I see him. It's a once a year thing when I see him, and he always has something for me. This person is very prominent in politics or whatever, so he hands me his cigar. And I happen to have the Year of the Rabbit here, and I give it to him. And he had a little travel humidor with all these he had great cigars in this humidor. And he said, take whatever you want. So I grabbed one and I hand him the Year of the Rabbit. And it was like the greatest gift you can give anybody. And instead of putting it back into the humidor, he put it in his pocket. He's like, nobody's touching the cigar.
Yeah.
This one's mine, and everybody else can have these. And that was it's great. I mean, when you pull this out, it's excellent.
And
there's very few cigars that you can do that with.
And that is what we learned today. Good
Yes,
smoke.
sir.
Good smoke, good smoky treat. Again, a lot of limited editions, a lot of people putting out specialty cigars. This one is definitely worth your time, worth your pocketbook. Definitely a good investment to have. All right. We want to thank you guys for hanging out with us as always. And a reminder, if you like the show, give us 5 stars, write a review. Always helps. And you can check out us on the YouTube channel. Obviously the Facebook has the mailbag, which is always a good time. Always good to see. The last one I saw, there were so many packages, you could barely see Yami.
Yeah.
She was like hopping like, hey, here I am. Always a good time. Thanks to Nat. Thanks to Yami. Thanks to you guys for hanging out with us. And always hang out with us and enjoy your smoky treat. For Erik, for Ivan, I'm Jim. Smoke it up.
You've been listening to the Cigar Snob Podcast. Tune in next time for more nonsense and chicanery. But in the meantime, you can find previous episodes of the podcast on cigarsnob.com/podcast. Follow us at Cigar Snob Mag on all the social media platforms, and be sure to subscribe and rate this podcast on Apple Podcast. Until next time, hasta luego.